Hello, everybody, and welcome to Moms and Murder, a true crime podcast featuring myself, Mandy, and my dear friend, Melissa. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Mandy. How are you?
Great. I think we do the same intro every single week. It's just easy for us, but we're both here again and doing well. So I will let Melissa do her usual thing and jump in and tell you guys this week's announcements, if you will, and then we will get right into the case.
Perfect. So we have just a couple announcements for tonight. The first one is we wanted to include our children, because we're mothers, in a small episode, but murder. So we are very limited in our options. So we're thinking on the 24th, we're going to release an episode. Oh my gosh, I hope this works out because I've now committed to a day.
Right.
Like a Q&A, but our kids will ask us the questions. But you guys send us the questions. So
If that makes sense.
It doesn't. So basically, we're going to have a Q&A. Ask us anything, but keep it PG because our kids will be asking this. And then we will put it on the end of our episode. So if you want to hear our adorable children, stick around. If not, you can cut it and we're fine. Just don't tell them. Don't tell them you didn't want to hear them. Next, we have our Patreon episode about the killer clown, not the clown killer, Killer clown, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
You got it right.
Florida killer clown. So if you are a Patreon member, a patron, that is up and available for you. And if not, head on over there. Join us.
Yeah.
Lots of fun things going on. Currently have a poll up there. That's always exciting. And then we're also going to do a crossover episode next month that Mandy and I are thrilled about.
Yay.
Super excited. Yeah, you hear that? Very thrilled. No, we're super excited. It's going to be so much fun. This will be our first ever crossover. And I feel like Crossroads is a Britney Spears movie. I wanted to sing I'm Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman.
Oh my gosh. And now I'm thinking of like a Bone Thugs and Harmony song too. Like this is really going in a bad direction.
Crossroads,
so,
yeah.
let's
We should
move on.
not do pop culture. It's not working well for us. And then also Facebook group. You guys know about that now. We have 150 something members, 200.
And we're still holding on to GIFing. So we keep saying today's the day that we're going to stop doing that. But then we keep doing it. So
we're such kind people, Mandy. And then you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. Mum's the word. We also wanted to let you know that we are participating in the campaign 2 Pods a Day. It aims to introduce podcast listeners to 2 independent podcasts every day for the month of October. We hope to give visibility to some of the great indie podcasts that you probably haven't heard of. 2 Pods a Day encourages you to listen more and to listen indie. And we were actually featured on 2 Pods a Day on day 3 or 4. 3.
Day 3.
Day 3. So our time has come and went, but we are still promoting and so excited about all the different shows that we're learning about too. There was a cool dad show on there.
Yeah, right next to us. Yeah, it was perfect. That was just a perfect matchup.
Congratulations, Josh Hallmark, and all your genius abilities to be able to put all these things together. So thank you for that. So without further ado, Mandy, let's get going.
Alrighty. Today, episode 13 is going to be about a lovely lady named Clara Harris.
Aw.
Yes. Clara Harris was living a dream life. She had a successful career, a beautiful home, lavish belongings, set of adorable twins, a doting spouse, and even a stepdaughter that she considered her own. She lived with this family in this family. This is her family.
She broke in and moved into this family's home.
She lived with her family in Friendswood, Texas, and owned a chain of orthodontic offices with her husband, David Lynn Harris. So when I say she had all these lavish belongings and a beautiful home, I mean, it was just the granite countertops and the nice cars and, Mercedes. And I don't know. They probably had a boat.
It could be normal to some people, but to us, that's fancy living.
Yeah. I know. I am really not making money.
You got granite in that their house.
Clara was born in Bogota, Colombia, and at the age of 6, her father died. But Clara continued to work hard to be a successful woman who would have made him proud. Her father had always encouraged her and motivated her to do well and make a life for herself in the States. And that became something that was very important to Clara. She really wanted to be able to live that out
right.
and, follow the dream that her parents had for her. She eventually did move to the U.S. to study dentistry. And when she was in Houston on fellowship, she met David, and the two became absolutely smitten with each other. They had a very kind of a quick, which I guess like a lustful beginning to their relationship.
Basically.
And then, of course, it grew into true love.
Not of course.
They got married and everything.
Those fizzle pretty quickly.
So a quick note, I actually had to go look up. I didn't know what a fellowship was.
Oh, Mandy.
And so I go down, whenever I start like looking at things I don't know, I'm like, well, let me just Google this some more. Why are you making fun of me?
No, I'm not. I just... We both don't know very many words, so together it's a real disaster.
I mean, I know the term fellowship in certain capacities, but not when it pertains to like dental school. So, of course, I was like, okay, what is this? I assumed it was more than just people getting together and hanging out. So.
It was a potluck. It was just a potluck of dentists.
Anyway, so a fellowship is a short-term opportunity that focuses on the professional development of the fellow. And
Sexist.
It's kind of like a... Stop. It's kind of like a grant. They provide financial support for any cost. Melissa, stop laughing. That they incur as a student. So it's kind of like a specialty program. I actually even asked a friend who is a dentist, and I was told that it is not really you don't come out and have the title of a specialist, but you just know a lot in that field. You know, so if you're a dentist and you happen to know a lot about a certain type of dentistry, then you can go to like a fellowship for that.
Right. We would have that with orthopedic. Like we'd have people do their internships and then fellowships with various things. So then they could say with a fellowship in sports medicine or whatever. So you had this extra thing you could add to your resume.
Even though it's not like an official thing. It's not like a title.
I think it's an ish. I think it's just you say fellowship of, oh gosh, this is getting bad. Because
okay, let's
I
just
acted
stop
very
this right
confident
here.
and this is not going well.
So on Valentine's Day of 1992, Clara and David were married at a yacht club right next door to a Hilton in Nassau Bay, Texas. So they got married on Valentine's Day, which is just so sweet and makes you just feel so good and warm and fuzzy. And I always love when people do stuff like that.
Well, I think it's sweet, but if things go south, every Valentine's Day for the rest of your life, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's like getting married on your birthday. What if this doesn't work out? You're going to hate your birthday? No, thank you. Don't ruin any holidays for me.
So as I said before, the pair had a very close bond, and Clara actually helped David to foster a relationship with his young daughter named Lindsay that he had not had a relationship with since he, of course, split from her mother. In September of 1998, Clara and David expanded their family, and Clara actually gave birth to twin boys, which... Good Lord. Twins.
Bless you.
Bless you. And I know for a fact that we have at least one listener who has twins and tells stories about them all the time.
Hi,
Looking at you,
Stacey.
And yeah, you go, people with twins, because I don't know. I would
go off a cliff. I couldn't do that.
It's terrible.
No, I mean, I would go off a cliff. Don't you? They need you, clearly.
Okay. So September 1998, Brian and Bradley, the twin boys, came along. The friends of the family stated that these little boys were just the bow on the package of the Harris's perfect life. They were all very happy, and really they couldn't ask for more. I mean, they had this beautiful home. They had thriving careers. Everything was really going great. Around this time after the boys were born, actually around 2001, Clara and David's dental practices both started really taking off, and they were able to have a beautiful new house.
Sure.
And they also had a cottage on a lake and a ski chalet in Colorado.
You know, I did not want to pronounce that word at all.
Oh, you don't even know what a ski chalet is? Really?
In my brain, I always pronounce it chalet.
Is that the correct pronunciation? I have no idea.
We have to just never do this.
No, I can't even imagine having 3 houses, though. That is so far out of like the realm of reality for me. That
Congratulations. They worked really hard for this.
They did. The things you can have when
you're not lazy.
And you're smart and you go to school and all that fun stuff.
You don't start a podcast.
Yeah. Friends of Clara's said that she loved having company and throwing parties, and she was actually very good at doing it. She would throw these elaborate different holiday parties and just all these kind of get-togethers. Melissa's shaking her head because she doesn't
Not interested.
she doesn't ever want to have a gathering of the minds with anyone she knows.
No, I don't like people. I don't like places. I don't like things. So this sounds miserable to me.
It sounds perfect to me, honestly. I love entertaining too. I like throwing parties, and I just can't afford it.
You don't invite me to any of these parties.
Are you
nice
surprised?
to know. Yeah.
You're always talking about how lame you are, so I'm just like,
And how much I hate people. So
She's not going to come.
I don't hate people. They're great.
So this perfect life that they had built was not easy, as life is not whenever you have twin boys and a full-time career. And, of course, Clara was also a large part of, she was a big contributor to the finances of the family. She was like, they were kind of 50-50. And, they needed her income if they were going to continue this lifestyle that they had.
Right.
So this whole entire situation started to really exhaust Clara mentally and, emotionally. And it was just very draining. She was tired all the time, just working a lot. And as it sometimes happens, her relationship with her husband kind of started suffering a little bit. And like I said, that's kind of an unfortunate thing, but I hear of that happening all the time where, like life just gets to be so much, and work and kids and all that. And it's a common thing, I feel like, in a marriage, unless you really try your hardest not to let that happen.
Yeah.
That's our PSA
but even
for the day.
Then, oh gosh, we're going to have more PSAs.
We're the worst.
That's our first one.
So their relationship began to suffer, and Clara just continued to put their marriage on the back burner. And, as a result of that, David started spending more time at work and would start showing up late, if he even showed up at all, to like family gatherings and, get-togethers and things like that. He would show up at like 10 p.m. and, just clearly not into it, not
That's
interested.
That's what I do. That's a good idea.
Just show up at 10.
Good job, David.
Have a drink and leave.
Grab a snack and get out.
That's like perfect. Have a snack. I say have a drink. You're like, I'll have a snack.
I only want food.
Oh my goodness. So David and Clara actually had a 5-year financial plan, and it included owning all of their offices, their dental offices, and becoming totally debt-free. So Clara actually didn't mind that David was spending more time at the office, because in her eyes, that was just more income, and it would be faster for them to reach this ultimate goal that they had of living this debt-free life, and then I guess just filling bathtubs up with money and swimming in it.
Sure, as we do. But she seems like she had this vision of perfection, and that's how it was going to be, and you make your sacrifices and you deal with it, and that's just what's going on at the moment. In my opinion, she seemed like a perfectionist to the nth degree.
Well, she kind of was. And I think it all started back when she was little, and her dad had said that he had all these aspirations for her, wanted her to go make a life for herself in America, and, really use her smarts to get where she wanted to be in life. And so, she always did that, and that was important to her. And so those things were important to her. And I think you're right that she had an image in her head that she wanted to kind of live out. Yeah. And, but
they're great, but I'm not interested in being a dentist. People's mouths are gross.
Yeah.
Honestly, anytime a dentist, a podiatrist, the OBGYN minus the baby part.
Right.
No, thank you.
I know. No.
I mean, more power to you. Thank you for doing your job and all this stuff. But like, why? Why?
Yeah, I know. Well, and not even like the gross factor, but for a short time, I considered going to school to become a midwife, right? I was really on this kick for a couple of years.
Hippie.
And that would be like my dream job.
Right.
Except then I realized that I value my free time too much to be on call 24/7.
Oh my goodness,
so.
I know.
I just couldn't do that.
And then like false alarm crazy.
Yeah, no. I don't, and I also don't like being woken up in the middle of the night.
You would be a terrible midwife. Every baby's born at like 2:30.
I will only show up to attend the births that are convenient for me.
You would have had a lot of business. I'm sorry this didn't work out for you.
So in the fall of 2001, Clara and David's marriage began to really take a nosedive. Things started getting a lot more tense and just going downhill. Clara would get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and not come home until after 7 o'clock at night. So she was putting in extremely long days.
Yeah.
And then, of course, would have to come home and have these really 3 children, because David had his daughter from his previous relationship. So she would have to go home and do all the mommy stuff.
Yeah. How often was she there? Do you remember?
I don't know if I ever read anything about that.
I didn't
honestly
see what their custody agreement was, but it seems like she was there quite often.
I agree. I got the impression from everything that I would say it was at least like a 50-50 situation maybe.
Right.
Or at least every
it
weekend.
It was at least a 50-50 situation, maybe. Only get facts here.
We're just keeping up with the what you guys expect from us.
Yeah, there you go. Keep those expectations low.
Yes.
In the fall of 2001, Clara and David's marriage began to take a nosedive. Clara, at this point, was getting up at 7 a.m. and not coming home until 7 at night, which is like prime time kids, get them in bed.
Right. The hour between 7 and 8.
The witching hour.
It's the worst time ever.
Yeah. I regret so many things in my life from 7 to 8 o'clock. I would, if I was her, I'd come home after that. My goodness.
Hey guys, as you know, I'm someone who loves knowing a little about everything. I love the news, I love entertainment, I love it all. But sometimes I don't have enough time to get all the information, all the little details and the minutia of everyday news because my goodness, it's constantly going. But thanks to the Newsworthy podcast, I can get all I need in little bite-sized pieces. So if the stress of the news is getting you down, but you still want to know what's going on in things like the election, check out the Newsworthy. And in these 10-minute episodes, they're just on the go listening. I can listen to it quickly on a walk, on my way bringing my kids to or from school or one of their activities. When I'm in line at the grocery store, there's never a wrong time to listen to the Newsworthy. But if you feel bogged down by the news and kind of the negativity of it, but you still want to be informed on what's going on, the Newsworthy is the place to do it. Erica at the Newsworthy is an independent journalist, and her team does really all the hard work and research for you. I love that the episodes are so well-rounded, and there will be fun stuff like tech or big stories, but the way Erica gives this, efficient and neutral overview of the news, and in just 10 minutes each weekday, it's perfect. Just search The Newsworthy in your podcast app or go to thenewsworthy.com to start listening. Again, search for the podcast The Newsworthy, 2 words, The Newsworthy, to make staying informed easier and more enjoyable every weekday. It's been a while since I've had a baby of my own, and some days I miss it so much. The baby cuddles and baby smiles, but when it comes to diaper rashes, not so much. I remember the first time my oldest had a diaper rash, I was really devastated. Here's this tiny thing totally dependent on me, and now she's fussy and obviously uncomfortable, and I'm supposed to have the answers. Well, with time and treatment, it went away, but what I really wanted was to avoid it altogether. And now, baby butts rejoice. New Huggies Skin Essentials are here, a brand new dermatologist-approved line of diapers, wipes, and pull-ups training pants, all designed with baby's sensitive skin in mind.
The wipes are thick and have 0 harsh ingredients for a great, gentle clean. Pull-Up Skin Essentials has got your big kid covered too, with a training pant that's ultra soft and breathable to help protect sensitive skin throughout potty training. Whether you're a first-time parent or a seasoned pro, make it easy on yourself and your baby with Huggies. Learn more at Huggies.com. Once again, head to Huggies.com to learn more.
So David began to feel more neglected and started spending more time at the office, or so that's what he was telling her. In August, David hired Gail Bridges as a receptionist. She was a pretty young woman who entered the picture at just the right time for David, and she was actually he was starved for attention, and she did not mind giving him attention. And they worked together through the tension, but eventually began to have an intimate relationship around April or May of 2002.
So they lasted a while.
Yeah. Congratulations.
It was from August until April or May.
Oh,
they
congratulations.
just walked around the office flirting with each other, I guess. And
how does this work, though? You're working with your spouse and you're like, you know what?
I don't think they worked in the same office. I think they each had their own
offices.
Right. They had their own separate practices.
But you're still communicating with people in other offices if you have
it's
that.
It's a small world, I would imagine.
Like, that's a way small world.
Right. And especially if they own, like, all the dental offices in town. Like, yeah, you would think that's just not a very wise thing to do.
Very dumb, David. David would actually take Gail to his lake house, and they'd also get rooms at the Hilton, which is the same Hilton that was right next door to David and Clara's wedding venue, which is a nice slap in the face, I would say.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I'm ready to slap him.
Yeah.
Eventually, David stopped trying to hide his affair from everyone except his wife, and he would be open with his dates with Gail around town. So he would be out and about with her, which, again, slap.
Right. I would say, though, at this point, though, if you get to that point in an affair, you just need to go on and leave your wife and just stop.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's ridiculous. If you're like, so into this other person that you're just like, whatever. I don't even care if anyone sees us together. Like, it's definitely time for you to.
So don't you think they should have
team.
stopped that before? Pick a team. Yeah, pick a team here. Honestly, though, but that, to me, it seemed so blatant and obvious that it was kind of like he wanted to be found out. I don't know if that's true, but it just seems like, why would you not hide it at work and stuff? Like, everybody knows you guys. That makes it uncomfortable for everyone you work with.
Right.
Too. No, thank you. So word of the affair finally reached its way back to Clara when one of the employees at David's office took her to dinner and let her know that she may have some problems in her marriage that she needs to take care of. So
You think?
yeah. And what an uncomfortable dinner. Like, by the way.
I know. And I mean, I just think it's so nice for women to look out for each other and like be like, hey, girl, by the way.
Yeah.
I think your husband might be getting a little something on the side.
No, Mandy, don't ever say that again. That made me so uncomfortable.
Okay. We're just going to cut that whole part.
Nope,
right
we're still going. We're still going. I refuse. I'm always embarrassed. You can be embarrassed today. So Clara was actually blindsided, and she confided in her stepdaughter, Lindsay, who's David's daughter, and she was 16. So I don't understand that. Like, that's a lot to
them
give
into it.
a
Oh
kid.
my gosh,
Yeah.
I know. I agree.
And, like, that's her dad. I don't know. That just felt gross to me, that whole, why? What good does it do?
Right. It just brings back memories. I've been involved in a situation which, kids were brought into a messy affair, divorce situation, but
not Mandy's life.
Not
outside of your life.
Not my immediate life.
Yeah, not your immediate life. A life outside of yours.
Right.
Yeah, so no fun. And yeah, people getting brought into it, it's like, that's your own dang problem.
Right.
A kid doesn't need to know about any of that. So actually, Clara and Lindsay were very, very close. And Clara had been in her life since she was a tiny little girl. So Lindsay initially took the side of Clara when she learned of her father's affair. And on the morning of July 17th, 2002, Clara confronted David about Gail, and he admitted to the affair. I feel like he just wanted to.
Well, I know, but that's why I don't understand. If you are that miserable and like just sick and tired of your wife, like just leave. I don't understand this. Like have this affair and then finally you're just like, not, you just come out and admit it.
Yeah.
Like, yep, that's going on.
I mean, he wasn't hiding it, so I guess. Like, buy her some chocolate and say this is done.
Heartbreaking. Honestly, this case, I actually found myself feeling really like sad for Clara in parts of this because I mean, I can't imagine with everything she had on her plate.
He's gonna snap.
Yeah, I am going to snap right here. But no, with everything she had going on and the twins and everything, oh my gosh, I just cannot imagine, my husband just no. Okay.
Just no, husbands. Just
no.
We're not.
Don't do this. This is terrible.
Let this be a lesson to you. That's what I would say.
The moms vote down for that.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
Big thumbs down.
So having grown up without her father, Clara was very emotionally attached to David and thought that he would just be her everything forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
Which
is how you go
into
marriage.
Not an unreasonable thing to think.
Yeah.
Whenever you go into a marriage, like you said. So being unwilling to give up on the love of her life, she vowed to do everything in her power to win him back and salvage their marriage, which this doesn't really usually work out unless your only reason for being with each other is purely superficial.
Yeah.
But so she actually sat down with David and asked him to help her make a comparison list between her and Gail. Why would you torture yourself in this way? Like, this is a terrible idea.
No, I wouldn't ask somebody to describe me, say how pretty they think I am, how anything. You are asking for some questions. I mean, for some answers you don't want to hear.
Right. And so, and so the list actually included like such ridiculous things like comparing their breast size and everything.
Yeah.
And I guess, she said that hers were going to be like soon to change because she was going to go to extreme measures to like bring herself, I guess, up to par or whatever that she thought, David wanted, which,
Nope.
No.
None of the thumbs down there.
Yeah, no.
Mom
no
say
way.
no.
So Clara immediately began undergoing changes to her appearance in a desperate attempt to prove that she was better than Gail and more worthy, of David. She made appointments to have her hair dyed blonde. She had liposuction. She began starving herself to lose weight.
That's
got a
where you
personal
lose me.
trainer. Yeah, right. Anything that involves not eating, count me out.
Yeah, I'm out of here. Don't worry. You can have her.
So at first her plan actually worked, and David told Clara that he did want to end his relationship with Gail and work on their marriage. So I'm sure she was elated,
Yeah.
even though I feel like it would still feel really,
I feel dirty.
yeah, like
Why would he have been with you to begin with? Well, I mean, everybody talked about how beautiful Clara was.
Yeah.
She was gorgeous. And then as the years went on, you have kids, they exhaust you.
and you turn hideous.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Where are you going with this?
I mean, you have other things going on, so you're not always like on your game. You have date nights, but you know what I mean? Like, give me some sweatpants. I'll be happy you can't come home to this. I look good in sweatpants. Really. I look better with sweatpants than most things. No, but really, it's just a weird, I don't know. It just seems like you're setting yourself up for failure because in 5 years, this stuff is going to go away.
I could not keep that up for 5 minutes.
No.
Honestly.
Oh, no.
Like,
The
if
second
that's
those
not
roots
the
came in.
right, and if that's not the way that you are as a
Right.
person, you're never going to be able to maintain it. Okay. Do you
Yeah.
know how many times I've said I just wish that I was the kind of person who ate really healthy and
Oh, yeah.
got up and went for a run every morning.
Yeah.
But I've finally, I think, admitted to myself that is just not the life I was called to.
But do you ever know people in your life who all of a sudden pick up running and that you'd be like, no, they're not a runner. And then they become crazy runners and they're like super in shape and all that. And you think, oh, I could do that. And then you
and then
run
you
for
try
one
running.
day and get a stress fracture and you're like, screw this. I'm not doing this.
Yeah. No, I agree. And plus, I'm also like an instant gratification person. So
Yeah.
if I have to run for like multiple weeks before I see any results from it, like I'm just not going to make it that far. It's just-
Unless I'm running from someone with a knife, I'm not interested. Or towards something like food or
Right.
Diet Coke. I'm walking. No, thank you.
so
That was a tangent. Sorry.
okay, back on track. So Clara decided to hire a private investigator to follow David around, even though he had already told her that the affair was going to be coming to an end. Just in case, Clara decided that she better hire someone to follow him around because what if he was lying? So this whole relationship just sounds very...
Psychotic. Can I bring one thing up? There is a movie, a Lifetime original movie, I have to bring this up now, called Suburban Madness. And I watched it for you guys. And it was the most wonderful thing I've ever watched in my life because it was so horrible. Mandy, how far along did you make it in this movie?
I think you asked me to watch the first 10 minutes. I probably watched the first 3 and then skipped ahead until I got to the 10-minute mark.
Yeah. So the whole thing in this movie, it's supposed to be about Clara Harris and David, right? Well, apparently Celia Ward's in this movie. And do you know who Celia Ward is? She's beautiful. She's brunette in all the movies in 80s and 90s.
I know who she is.
Okay, thank you. So she's in this movie, so I thought, oh, maybe this movie's going to be good. It wasn't. It was terrible. But
It wasn't.
She apparently got the script and said, I don't want to play Clara. I want to play the private investigator. And literally the whole movie ends up being about the private investigator. Like they realize that Clara in this movie is such a bad actress that, no joke, it's like the private investigator. That's all you see the whole time. And it's literally like her story of her husband having an affair. And you're like, what went wrong here? So you have to watch it. It's my new favorite terrible thing. I'm going to probably post a clip of it online because I just have died laughing watching it. So back to the story.
So on July 23rd, 2002, Clara went into the Blue Moon Detective Agency and hired Bobby Baca.
Yep, that was her.
Is it? Okay.
Yep, that's Celia Ward.
I'm so excited. All right. And her team, of course, to spy on David. She wanted them to get close enough to be able to listen to conversations and, of course, to let her know if David was seen entering or exiting any hotels with Gail. Very pertinent information.
Yeah, that would
I
be
guess.
a good clue.
Yeah. And then an interesting thing that I saw is that apparently in Texas, when a couple gets divorced, everything is automatically split 50-50.
Right.
But if you can prove adultery, then the one who is, of course...
The cheater or the cheaty. No, the one cheated on.
The one who got cheated on can actually go and request up to 90% of the assets. And so when I read that, I was like, whoa, okay.
Well, no wonder she's at
Texas
the PI.
doesn't play around with affairs.
Yeah.
Okay, like, do not have an affair in Texas because you're going to lose everything.
Don't, Mandy. Just don't have an affair, guys.
Yeah, just don't have it.
No, that's crazy. But that makes sense why she was like straight up PI.
Well, yeah, although I feel like she would have stayed with him anyway.
So she would have done this anyway. She just, she was going to find out.
So a private investigator named Lucas was assigned to the case, and he began following David around. On July 24th, 2002, he called and told Clara that David was at a hotel with Gail. He did not give much information, but told her that they were possibly on the 4th or 6th floor and that he would have a full report ready for her tomorrow. But Clara was not wanting to wait, of course. I think she probably went into like a blind,
Rage.
despair and rage. I think she was more sad and like heartbroken than anything else.
Yeah. How come you can't tell the difference between the 4th floor and the 6th floor?
That's what I want to know too. That's what he said. It's either the 4th or the 6th.
There's one in between that could really help you figure that out. I don't get that jump. I think of the really important things in this. So Clara got into her Mercedes with Lindsay, David's daughter, and drove herself down to the Hilton to confront David and Gail herself. First of all, where are the kids? Where are the small kids?
I've been wondering that this whole time. And every time I go and try to find any more information, it never talks about where the twins were at during all of this nonsense.
Well, good. I'm glad they weren't in the car.
Yeah.
But I don't understand bringing Lindsay. So when they arrived at the hotel, Clara drove into the parking garage and located Gail's SUV. She proceeded to get out and essentially trashes Gail's car. She keys it, bends the windshield wipers. Seems like a Carrie Underwood song, right?
Yeah, well, I
Carrie
saw
Underwood song.
some like pictures of the SUV that she destroyed, basically, and it was, I mean, you could tell it was like an angry person who did it. It was very scratched up and keyed up, and it was.
I think of consequences. That's just kind of how my brain thinks.
Right.
And I've been in a blind rage before, and I was like, I'm going to throw this lamp. And I saw a pillow, and I threw the lamp at the pillow so it wouldn't break. So
Still threw the lamp.
So yeah, still threw it, but like gently. I just wanted to get my point across. But my thought being like, this situation right here, I don't care how upset I was. Within reason, I think I would just be like, I'm going to get arrested the whole time I'm keying the car. Right?
I would think so. I would be very nervous to go and like do something like that to
They're
anyone's
going to
car.
know who did it.
Right, obviously. Not to mention there's probably cameras in the parking lot. It's a hotel.
We are thinking for her at this point.
Right.
So once she finished, Clara went into the hotel lobby with Lindsay right behind her. Suddenly the elevator doors open and out comes David and Gail hand in hand, and they clearly had not just broken up.
Yeah, I had actually read and seen on whatever documentary I watched about this. I can't even remember what it was
We'll
now.
put anything that we watched in the notes
Yes.
section so you can see.
But I had seen that Clara basically saw David and Gail embracing in a way that she used to do with her husband. So, and
How many ways can you embrace that you would be like, that feels so personal to me? It's a hug. My goodness.
Well, I guess he had his arm around her and was all like,
No, don't do this. Don't do voices.
I don't want to say baby,
No.
but I do.
She's beavering again, guys. She's beavering.
I can't stop myself. Okay.
So Clara snaps. She begins trying to attack Gail in the hotel lobby, but David intervenes and wrestles her to the ground. The hotel security eventually came over and escorted David and Gail out to Gail's newly renovated SUV, and another guard escorted Clara and I'm assuming Lindsay out of the hotel. So Clara and Lindsay got back in the car.
Lindsay probably didn't need an escort. She probably was like ready to run out of that building.
Why didn't her dad like say, "Come with me"? I don't know. Yeah, isn't that weird?
Your stepmother's losing her mind.
Yeah,
Maybe you should come with
and
me.
here's your newest stepmother. Like, what's happening there? So Clara and Lindsay got back in the car and pulled out of her parking spot. She drove over to where Gail's vehicle was parked and struck the SUV and her husband. So Clara crossed over two grassy medians and ran David over while his daughter was sitting in the passenger seat witnessing it all.
Wow.
Yeah, that's gross. But even trying to hit the car.
That's some next level crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's...
You like my face?
Yeah, I wish you guys could see this face. It's terrifying. So police were soon dispatched, and David was taken to a hospital. So at 9:48, David Harris was pronounced dead. Detectives outlined his injuries, which included missing teeth, crushed ribs, and a broken collarbone.
Witnesses at the scene stated that Clara circled back and ran David over more than one time. Some people say 2, some say 3. She possibly ran him over multiple times.
Yeah. Yeah, she was going for
But
it.
that is a point that will be debated for years to come after this took place. When it came time for Clara's trial, the question that was really on everyone's minds and what was up for debate really was whether or not Clara was guilty of cold-blooded murder or whether this was just a tragic accident caused by a desperate, emotional woman. So remember the private investigator, Lucas, the one that was hired by Clara herself? Well, he caught the entire ordeal on video, and that video was played for the jury in Clara's trial. So I don't even know what you call that. I guess it's irony that she hired the detective.
She hired the person that was her big witness, really.
Right, that had like the evidence of what she did. Like, she hired this person to catch her husband doing something.
And he caught her.
Right, and then that's how it...
Yeah. You watched the video, right?
Yes.
Very difficult to see what's going on. It's a very...
Yeah, you can't really tell anything.
Yeah, you just see like lights flashing like around the
and a car driving in a circle.
Yeah, but you don't even really see the car. It's just like the headlights.
And I never see any people. Like I never see her hitting a person or anything like that.
No.
But yeah, I did watch the video.
I'm good not seeing somebody get hit by a car, to be perfectly honest with you.
I mean, I'm fine with it too.
Yeah.
I'm just saying for argument's sake. I didn't
that
see,
was the thing. It was like
it's not like it was a home run hit evidence video or anything like that. Like it was very.
It almost looked more out of control than anything else, or like you're stuck.
Well, she was out of control.
Yeah,
Melissa.
she was out of control. Point taken. But no, it almost seemed more like her car was stuck in a certain way because it just was peeling out. I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah, it was. It was weird. Just
the
continual like circular. Whatever she was doing.
Like a mad person.
Right. On January 22nd, 2003, Clara Harris's trial began. The defense claimed that Clara's only intention was to destroy Gail's car, not to run anyone over. And as we said, the video is just really poor quality, so they didn't really have the evidence to say that she did it on purpose.
Yeah.
In a different video that was shown to mock jurors, which is like a fake jury. It's like they're not really going to use these jurors, but I guess they're just testing out their evidence and everything to see kind of where they're at with their points in their case and everything, and how it would come across to potential jurors. They did show this video of Clara being interviewed basically by the police after this had happened, and she pretty much paints a picture of herself as being really distraught and devastated and, that her only intention was to destroy Gail's car in an attempt to basically show her husband how much emotional pain she was in from what he had done to her, by having this affair. So I watched that
I saw it too.
video, and it was so heartbreaking, honestly. I felt bad, and I would buy it. I would have gone for it. I would have definitely shown like some sympathy on her because you could tell she really was... I thought you could anyway, that she was really upset, like, and it was genuine. Like, she was really, and I felt like what she was saying was, like I said, genuine. Like, I thought she was telling the truth of the matter, and that, I mean, I'm sorry, like, love does crazy things, and so does anger, okay? And, like, I don't necessarily think she set out to say, I'm going to go there and kill one of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think it was just one of those things, and then...
Well, I highly doubt she'd bring this girl that she loves to intentionally go kill her father.
Right.
I don't see that.
Right. I think it just set her off, like, seeing them coming out of the elevator and, like, holding hands, and it's, like, kind of, like...
It's humiliating.
Right. And, like, all of these things kind of coming to, like, a head at this moment, and, she just was at a loss and didn't really know what else to do. So...
Right.
If you ever get to that point, killing someone's not the answer.
A new PSA for moms and murder.
So in the video, she tearfully describes how she felt upon seeing David and Gail, and she describes how the security guards that escorted her out had told her to not follow David and Gail where they were going, and that she just needed to go get back in her own vehicle and go her own way.
They saw saw her attack this lady in the lobby. Why didn't they say, let's wait until she drives off? And
I agree.
Like, they should have been escorted and security guards have been standing there. I mean, you would never think this would happen, but if a crazy person comes in knocking people out in the lobby in front of their kid.
Well, and if it's to the point that you have to escort like people out,
Like adult humans
because
out.
they're like cat fighting in the lobby, like you would think that you would at least, like you said, watch them go to their car, get in, and drive away before just calling it a day.
Just for their own like hotel security. You know what I mean? Just for insurance purposes, you'd think you'd want to be like, let's make sure they get off this property.
Right. So upon realizing that David was actually going with Gail, Clara claims that her only thought or idea at this moment was just to, quote, stop that car. So she, at this point, is now definitely not in a normal frame of mind, I would say. And so that's when she had this idea to use her own vehicle to stop that car and ram Gail's SUV. That's just what she chose to do. I don't understand it, but that's the story.
Yeah. Again, my thought is you're going to be arrested, and this is getting worse.
So she explained how she began barreling towards the SUV, and she saw David coming towards her on the left side of the car. He was, of course, on foot, standing, and was running probably towards the car. And she says that she just thought the car was going to stop itself when it came to a really high curb.
Right.
And so she just assumed, like, she's looking at him running. She's driving in the direction of this SUV, watching him come toward her.
And she just thinks, like,
assuming the
automatic
car,
brakes.
Right. Well, I guess she thought that it was a high curb and that her car wouldn't just go over the curb. I don't know what she thought. Okay.
That is real weird, weird thinking.
It's not rational.
No.
But of course it didn't, and she ended up running.
To me, if you're thinking that far in advance, like if you're having these thoughts processed, you're not really completely out of the situation. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like she snapped and didn't know what was going on, where people say they blacked out. She's saying, yeah. And then I thought, well, my car won't actually go over it, so I'll just keep my foot on the gas.
Yeah, that's what she said. She said she was surprised that her car kept going, and alleges that in that moment, she says that she does not know who was driving, doesn't know what came over her, doesn't know. Wasn't her behind the wheel. It was someone else.
In the Lifetime movie, the daughter turns to her and very dramatically slaps her in the face, and it was awesome.
Yeah. So Clara's defense was that her husband's death was her fault, but it was not murder. They allege that Clara only ran over her husband one time, and that the video clearly proved that. They spoke, which the video didn't clearly prove anything.
No, it was nothing clear about that video.
It was very, very unclear.
It grainy proved nothing.
Yeah. They spoke with the doctor who had examined David at the hospital, who said that the injuries were consistent with being run over more than once, but David's body only included one set of tire prints, which her attorney and friends believe is proof that she did not repeatedly run him over.
That's a sad sentence, that your body only had one set of tire prints on it.
Yeah, that is.
Yikes.
Yeah. They also argued that Clara's Mercedes did not have a turning radius that would have allowed her to turn sharply and run him over multiple times. And the prosecution actually admitted that it was a good argument, which I don't know how often that ever happens.
Kudos to you.
Yeah. But they countered by bringing in a police officer who testified that there was another tire track on the pavement that was at an angle that went directly to where David's body had been. So I guess he's saying
he rolled over and got away from it?
I don't know. I don't understand that. And all the ways I try to understand it are just like horrifying scenarios.
Yeah. None of it's good.
I'm just done with that. Okay. Clara's attorney did not want her to take the stand in her own trial, but she insisted on doing it anyway, and that opened up a whole can of worms for her and her defense. The jury had not heard the full police interview with Clara, and when she took the stand, some parts of the interview that previously had not been shared with the jury came into question. It hurt the defense. Her attorney actually collapsed in court from the stress of it all.
So dramatic. That is so dramatic.
Well, he takes his job seriously, man.
Oh, man. That was just pathetic.
He knew it was over.
Yeah.
So basically, the defense was unable to prove that she did not run him over multiple times. Of course, it couldn't have been proven that she did either. So it was just one of those.
Yeah. Okay. I can see where they're going here.
Yeah. So Lindsay Harris, who of course was David's daughter, was called to testify in the trial. And even though she had always been very close with Clara and initially took her side after word about the affair came out, she still testified against her.
Well, she was in the car.
Right.
And saw her run her father over.
Right. So part of Lindsay's testimony basically was that she wanted Clara to pay for what she had done for her dad and what she had had to go through and witness. And, she lost her parent. So I understand. She didn't.
And she's the witness. But also, did she say how many times they ran her father over, or did she not remember?
Well, she didn't say specifically, but she did seem to indicate that it was more than once.
Yeah.
Like she said that she could feel the bump going over her dad's body every time they did it. So obviously that means it was more than once.
There was also that curb there too. So I wonder. That sounds terrible. But how different does it feel to
But
run over a body versus
it's a chaotic
curb?
situation though. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's like whenever people are saying, "I heard somebody being shot." And they're like, how many times? You just hear so many.
Right.
But I would think like the physical feeling of running over your father, that'd be a memory you wouldn't forget.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. So
it'd be one you would love to forget. But
yeah. Poor girl.
So the jury actually sided with Lindsay, and on February 14th, 2003, the jury found Clara Harris guilty of murder by sudden passion.
That is not a thing.
It is a thing. Yes,
so
it
dramatic.
is. Yes, it is a
Sudden
thing.
passion.
I believe it. So 20 years is the maximum sentence for that specific crime, at least in Texas it is anyway. And by the way, February 14th, if you caught that, happens to would have been their wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
Remember they got married on Valentine's Day.
Terrible day for her.
So this just reminds me of the Aloma Curry Walker case because she also got convicted and sentenced, or not, you didn't do that on the same day. She got convicted on what would have been her wedding anniversary. So I always think that's just odd, coincidental timing. So she is incarcerated at the Mountain View unit in Gatesville, Texas. And I even wrote in my notes, maybe she's cellmates with another one of our subjects, Christine Paolilla, because that's where she's incarcerated too.
We've done this on purpose, guys. We're just melding them all together. It's just a track for you to follow. Look how smart we are. I'd like to make one comment about this case. I did not know this was the case we were doing. Whenever I brought this case up to you about the wife running over the husband.
Oh, there's more than one?
I was talking about a different one. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So Mandy sends me her notes and the name, and I was like, hold up, this is not the one I was thinking. So look, we'll have another car running over spouse thing in the far future. But that was a fun little fact.
So she was sentenced to 20 years in prison and fined $10,000. And now from prison, she converts school textbooks to Braille for blind students, which cool.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. And her twins are in the custody of family friends. She has filed for parole twice, once in 2013 and once in 2016, and was denied both times. And she is currently in the parole review process again. I actually read that she became eligible for parole again just last month, September 2017.
Right.
So that is the story of Clara Harris and the very strange death of her poor cheating husband.
Yeah, there's not a fan of all that cheating he did, but running him over with a vehicle, too far.
Yeah. One last note, there is a book. I always like to mention if there's a book or anything on the cases that we do. But there is a book. Yeah. It's called Out of Control. It was written by Stephen Long in 2004. And then, as Melissa said, there is also the Lifetime original movie called Suburban Madness. And this case has been featured on Snapped and Deadly Women as well.
Yeah. And, I cannot suggest this movie enough. Another part of the movie, I'm sorry, but I'm going to tell you, you have to watch it. Mandy's going to have to watch the whole thing. I thought it was fast forwarded. Like it was just this weird effect they did. And it was like a drone on crack, just like sweeping over the country, doing all these crazy things. Showing people in super speed, but then I realized like the music's going at a normal speed, so they just thought it was like a cool edit they did. It was so terrible. I loved it. Okay, so we have a few I'm Invincible wins for you guys, and we even got a last minute I'm Invincible win right before we we decided to record tonight. So first one is from Megan G in our Facebook group, Mum's the Word. I'm invincible when I double click my car fob and the car honks to let any criminals in my neighborhood know it's locked and I mean business.
I do click mine like several times.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll just...
Do you panic that then you accidentally hit one unlock and the whole thing's screwed up? I do the same thing. So yeah, mine's like 42 and I'm like, this is going to get jammed.
But then like 3 minutes later, I'll be like I'll just get comfortable and I'm like, oh, I think I forgot to lock my car.
Let's try this again. Right. Yeah, it's terrible. And then our next one is from my bestie, Sarah. She submitted this at the suggestion of her husband, who is like 6'9". And so you just do what that man says. Right. He could smush you. So I'm invincible when I block exterior doors with bags and boxes so would-be intruders cannot make their way into the house. And it even comes with a picture. And they do a very good job of blocking the entrance. Perfect job. Next one is from Addie, also in our Mum's the Word group. Here is the opposite of our first one, basically. I'm invincible when if I ever go to the store by myself and leave my car door unlocked, which tisk, tisk.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Lock those doors.
That's not invincible already. I always get back in the car and say, I know you're in here. I love that confidence. I know you're in here and I'm headed home to a crazy 2-year-old, so now's your chance to bail out, as if someone's jumped in the car while I was in the store.
Oh my gosh, how terrified are you going to be if someone pops up and's like, sorry, you got me.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a crazy 2-year-old. I'm out of here.
Right.
That's a perfect one. I love it. I think we have 2 more. Tonight, Mandy actually brought us subs, public subs, which are
amazing.
Heaven. They're heaven. And I mentioned that on Twitter. And so we got I'm invincible when I use a public sub as a peace offering. Don't murder me. Murder the sub instead. Yeah. And that's from Rita on Twitter. But also, Rita, don't give anybody your public subs.
Right.
It's not worth it. Like, take a swing at me. That's fine. I'm not letting go of this sub. It's not going to happen. We have 2 more. I'm invincible when I only have 1 glass of wine at the airport bar so that if my plane goes down, I'll still be sober-minded enough to work my oxygen mask and life vest.
I have multiple glasses of wine at the airport bar so that if my plane goes down, I just don't care.
There are 2 ways to do that one. Right. There are 2 ways. I like them both. And our last one is terrible. This is from...
It's from the worst person ever.
It's from Colin with the Guilty podcast. And his is typical. It says, well, I am just invincible. There's not really a win since it's always... And his poor Jen having to deal with this mess. So, yeah, no comment on that. So, that is our episode for tonight. Thank you guys for being with us.
We just have one promo for you tonight, and it's one of our favorites, the Minds of Madness.
Yay.
We love Minds of Madness.
We absolutely do love Minds of Madness. I can't get enough.
Yeah.
I really can't.
Tyler and Beck and Tyler, and
their...
Okay. Tyler and Beck, what the heck?
Yes. Yeah. That's where I was going.
Yeah. They did this cool video, and a lot of their listeners and some other podcasters did a video, and Karen with Stat did a nice little rap, and it was hilarious. And so
I play it on repeat every night.
I know.
Bed.
It's awesome.
It's amazing.
But for some reason, those guys like us, and we haven't figured it out, and it's going to end soon. I know it.
Right.
I can just feel it. They're going to be done with us. So anyway, so check them out because we love them. And even though I did ignore their show for a while because the cover photo scared me.
Oh my gosh, guys.
I'm scared of things
She's
so
such
much.
a chicken.
I am. You wish I was
should
a
just
chicken.
take her home. I know.
So anyway, please check them out. We really are excited about all the people we get to partner with. It's so much fun. We have a great time, and everyone's been really supportive of us for reasons we don't understand. But have a great week, and we will see you guys next week. Make sure you send us, you can email us, Facebook, Twitter, however, just don't show up at our doors, and give us your questions for our little Q&As that our little QTs can read to us.
Perfect.
How clever am I?
You are so clever, Melissa. I can't even take it. It's
I'm
adorable.
so tired. Okay, have a great week.
Bye.
What could an American dad, a university professor, and a passenger on a bus possibly have in common? You can find out by listening to the Minds of Madness podcast, where we uncover the series of events and state of mind leading ordinary people to do unthinkable things The Minds of Madness is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and all other major podcast apps.
Thanks so much for listening to the Moms of Murder podcast. Make sure to check back with us next week for a new episode. You can also find us at momsandmurder.com, where you can connect with us via social media. Please make sure you subscribe and give us 5 stars, because giving us 4 stars would be a crime. Thanks so much.